Hello everybody. Today I am Professor Bertrand Coiffier, working in the University of Lyon, and I will present today a case on refractory diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. This is a real case. It was a patient, 35 years old, a male patient, that presented with disseminated lymph node, cervical, axillary, inguinal, and abdominal. He had good performance status, 0 according to the ECOG scale, and no white loss, no fever, no recent fatigue. He's a clerk and has no difficulties to work. So a CT scan was done and confirmed the different locations with lymph node involvement, but nothing outside lymph node. The largest lymph node was lombo-aortic and measured 8 by 8 by 10 centimeters. The PET scan show intense fixation in these different locations with a SUV at 22 for the lombo-aortic lymph nodes. Blood was unremarkable with normal blood count, normal creatinine clearance, normal hepatic enzymes, normal LDH. LDH was at 240 for a normal limit at 250. Bone marrow biopsy did not show any infiltration, and lumbar puncture did not show meningeal infiltration. Biopsy of a cervical lymph node show a diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, not otherwise specified, nothing special. Immunohistochemistry show a BCL2 positivity, CD10 negativity, BCL6 negative, LMO2 negative, and MUM1 positive. This proliferation suggests activated B-cell-like subtype. EBV expression in lymphoma cells was negative. FISH show a MYC rearrangement without BCL2 rearrangement. MYC and BCL2 were hyperexpressed on immunohistochemistry, and Ki67 was at 75%. So in total, it was a diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, stage 3, IPI score 1, age-adjusted score 1, with MYC rearrangement and hyperexpression. The patient was included in the GELA randomized study comparing R-CHOP and R-SCVBP in first-line young patient with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma that was published by Reicher in Lancet in 2011, and he was in the R-CHOP arm. After 4 cycles of R-CHOP, clinical examination show a slight regression of cervical and axillary lymph node, but no disappearance. A new PT and CT scan show less than 50% regression, with the largest lombo-aortic lymph nodes still over 5 centimeters and SUV values higher than 15. So this patient had a failure after 4 R-CHOP chemotherapy. And the question is, was there anything suggesting R-CHOP failure in the initial staging? Clinically, this patient was unremarkable with good performance status, normal LDH, stage 3, with a slightly large tumor, but not over 10 centimeters. But if clinically there is nothing suggesting a very aggressive lymphoma, the pathology was more aggressive. He had high Ki67, not over 90%, but like in Burkitt lymphoma, but really high. And even if he do not present what we call B-cell lymphoma unclassified, or BCLU, that is a lymphoma in between diffuse large B-cell lymphoma and Burkitt lymphoma. He has a MYC rearrangement and a MYC hyperexpression and the BCL2 hyperexpressions. And this was not what we call a double hit, where there is a rearrangement of MYC and BCL2. But it's certainly something that is more aggressive than standard diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. MYC overexpression in diffuse large B-cell lymphoma affects several pathways in lymphoma cells, and particularly upregulates the PI3 kinase, AKT, and mTOR pathway, and targets genes associated with NF-kappa B pathway and anti-apoptotic cascades. So the frequency of these MYC abnormalities in diffuse large B-cell lymphoma depends on the method of detection. You may detect MYC by cytogenetic, interphase FISH, CGH, or immunohistochemistry. For FISH analysis, the double hit represents around 10% of diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, and single MYC rearrangement around 15% at diagnosis. By immunohistochemistry, MYC overexpression is seen in around 30 to 40% of the diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Double hit lymphoma classically as both MYC and BCL2 rearrangement. Sometimes BCL2 is replaced by BCL6 rearrangement, and both are detected by FISH. But the combination of a potent proliferation signal MYC and a potent survival BCL2 leads to a very aggressive and chemoresistant lymphoma with rare long-term survival. This is called double hit lymphoma. We have also double expressing lymphoma. It's a new definition, and this double expressing lymphoma is defined by overexpression of MYC and BCL2 without any rearrangement, both detected by immunohistochemistry. And these double expressing lymphoma are more frequent than double hit. They are seen in about 30% of the diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, and they probably have the same poor outcome that double hit lymphoma. This is questioned, but there is an increased number of publications supporting this notion of very aggressive lymphoma. The double hit lymphoma or double expressing lymphoma are characterized by an increase of Ki67 expression, and such diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, such patient with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma and Ki67 high level must be tested for MYC and BCL2 rearrangement at diagnosis, or for rearrangement and also for overexpression. So if a pathologist sees high Ki67 in diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, he should do BCL2 and MYC rearrangement and BCL2 and MYC overexpression. This is very important because this allows to diagnose a very aggressive lymphoma, probably a failure to R-CHOP, so a need to do something else. These lymphoma are independent of any other clinical or biological parameters associated with high risk of failure in International Prognostic Index or other indexes. They are also independent of the cell of origin, even if there are more double hit lymphoma in the germinal center subtypes, and more double expressing lymphoma in ABC subtypes, but this is not really dependent of that. So you may find both double hit or double expressing in both subtypes, and this is not because there is one subtype that you have more frequent one. So in this case, the cell of origin is not really interesting for the prognosis. In all series of double hit lymphoma and double expressing lymphoma, the long-term survival is seen around 30% of the patient treated with R-CHOP, with a low percentage of complete response and high relapse rates. With such poor outcome, intensified regimen and stem cell transplant in first line has been tested. Few studies have tested the different regimen, but usually the other regimens that R-CHOP are not really better than R-CHOP. For example, the dose-adjusted epoch R or the R-hyper-CVAD did not seem to improve outcome in retrospective analysis for these aggressive patients. Within the GELA regimen, with the GELA regimen R-SCVBP, very good performance, progression-free survival and overall survival were observed, particularly in patients with ABC subtypes. As in 30% of the ABC subtypes patients have a double hit or double expressing lymphoma, we think that the R-SCVBP regimen might have a benefit in this patient, but no specific analysis has currently been published on the double expressing with R-SCVBP. No significant difference for patients transplanted in first line or those not transplanted has been found in several retrospective analyses. The lack of benefit using standard approaches suggests that novel agents must be used for treating these patients with double hit lymphoma or double expressing lymphoma. No studies have been published yet on these novel agents targeting MYC or BCL2. However, several of these new agents currently tested have shown promising results, such as ABT-199, alisertib. Alisertib targets Aurora A kinase inhibitor, an enzyme that is regulated by MYC. mTOR or PI3 kinase inhibitor, both targeting a pathway interfacing with MYC, agents expressing the NF-kappa B pathway, or agents targeting bromodomain protein. These proteins are transcriptional activators associated with MYC. Agents targeting EZH2, a protein regulating MYC-repressed tumor suppressor mRNAs. So several new agents that have to be tested. So in conclusion, this MYC-related lymphoma encompasses the diffuse double hit lymphoma original description and are more frequent than originally thought. These patients are refractory to standard chemotherapy regimen such as R-CHOP and have a really poor outcome with low CR rates, early relapses, short survival. New approaches are needed to really improve the outcome, and all these new drugs I've described to you are currently developed, may help, but no specific studies have been done for the moment. They are all ongoing. Thank you.